Hello everyone, welcome to this demo. My name is Satyam and I'll be giving you a walkthrough of SecOps Solution platform in this demo. So in this session, I'll be showcasing you how you can onboard your devices, your assets onto the product, how you can perform vulnerability assessments, configuration audits and analysis, and how you can remediate all of these security issues and misconfigurations using our patch management solutions. So before getting started with the demo, let me just quickly give you a brief of what the product is. So SecOps Solution is a cybersecurity product company. The product primarily focuses on IT infra devices. That includes your laptops, workstations, desktops, servers, or virtual machines on cloud or in your on-premise networks, and even systems in an air-gapped environment, as well as network devices like firewalls, switches, routers, and other devices. So for these IT devices, we have solutions in three different domains. We have a solution that does vulnerability management. We have a solution that does configuration audit, and we have a solution that does patch management. So to quickly give you a brief on these domains, with our vulnerability management solution, the product essentially helps you to find out security vulnerabilities on your laptops, desktops, network devices, firewall, switches, and other devices. So the product essentially helps you to scan these devices and get security issues, known security vulnerabilities, misconfigurations that are there on these devices. Then with the configuration audit product, it essentially helps you to perform baseline configuration audit on your devices for identifying misconfigurations on your systems. This also helps you to perform audits based on global standards like CIS, PCI, STIG, and other frameworks. And also, you can create your own customized configuration benchmark and accordingly assess your devices. Now, having a vulnerability management solution and a configuration audit solution, it's great, but it doesn't make your company more secure because it just gives you the visibility into what security issues and misconfigurations are there in your systems in the form of Excel reports, Excel sheets. But unless you actually remediate these issues and fix these issues, this doesn't make your company more secure. And that's where the patch management solution comes in. So using our patch management solution, you can deploy security fixes, you can deploy patches for your operating systems, for your applications, for your drivers, firmwares, and other devices. So the patch management solution can patch all popular operating systems, including Windows, Linux, Mac. So both versions of Windows, desktop editions as well as servers, all popular Linux distributions, right? Be it Debian-based systems, Red Hat-based systems, Oracle Linux, Amazon Linux, and even it can patch Mac devices, both Silicon and Intel-based systems. Going ahead, it can also patch your third-party apps. So there, the product does a great job. So it has support for more than 1,300 popular third-party applications that includes Google Chrome, Firefox, Adobe products, Zoom, Teams, and other popular products that users typically use. So you can patch all of these applications as well right from the product. Now, the biggest USP of the product is that it can perform all of these operations for vulnerability management, configuration audit, and patch management in a completely agentless manner. So, SecOps is the only product in the world today that can perform a true agentless patch management and deployment, vulnerability management, and configuration audit in completely agentless manner. Yeah, so that's the biggest USP of the product. And this was a quick brief about what the product does. Now, let me quickly show you the product demonstration. So now let's get started with the product demo. This is the overall product dashboard, which gives you insights regarding the overall assets that you have onboarded, its distribution with respect to different operating systems, be it Windows systems, Linux systems, Mac systems, overall software inventory across all your devices, right? The asset connectivity status. So the devices that are online, the devices that are offline, you get a quick visibility into that. Overall infrastructure risk index. So this essentially indicates how secure your overall infrastructure is at this point of time. Okay, so the lower the score is, the more secure your infrastructure is. It takes into consideration multiple factors, including the type of devices you have. Do those devices have internet access? What sort of security issues and vulnerabilities have we captured across host devices, and more. So, using this infrastructure risk index, you can get a quick visibility into your organization's overall security posture. overall device compliance status or asset compliance status based on different SLAs, different policies that were created on the product. So you can create compliances based on SLAs also. So you can create SLAs based on your organizational requirements. For example, let's say if you have created an SLA stating that all your critical vulnerabilities must be patched, let's say within 15 days of detection. Now, based on that, if any devices are non-compliant with the SLA that you have created, you can quickly get insights regarding them. And even if you want, you can export reports also for that. Similarly, policy-based compliance. So for example, if you have created a policy for deploying critical patches, or for an example, a Google Chrome patch, you have created a policy to make sure that all browsers remain up to date at all times with the latest patches. Now, if there is any device that is lagging, you'll quickly get notifications with respect to that policy and its compliance status. Overall patch analysis. So what operating system patches, what application patches are messing on your systems, and their distribution with respect to different criticality levels. For example, what critical OS patches are messing on my systems, or what critical application patches, or what high rated application patches are messing on my systems, I can quickly get insights regarding them. If you want to get more insights regarding any of these sections, for example, critical operating system patches, you can simply click over here and you can get further more details. Similarly, on the same lines, we have vulnerability analysis that gives you insights regarding your overall, security issues that we have found across your systems. So, and their distribution with respect to different criticality levels. You can get those insights right over here. Now, coming to patch management trends. So, this section basically gives you insights regarding your overall patch management operations and gives you trends and insights regarding your, patch deployments that occurred across your organization. So, with respect to different time frames, you can analyze these trends and you can get insights regarding the patches that got deployed in a specific time frame. Right? If you want to focus more on the patches that are still missing on your systems, you can click on unpatched and you can quickly get insights regarding the patches that are still missing on your devices. Similarly, we have vulnerability aging. So this typically represents the overall security issues and vulnerabilities that got patched over the period of time. And similarly, if you want to focus on the vulnerabilities that are still present on your systems from a particular time frame, you can get those insights and trends right over here. If you want to have a monthly view or a quarterly or an annual sort of a view, that also can be done just by switching this time frame option. So this is the overall product dashboard that gives you insights regarding the product and gives you quick visibility into the important matrices and parameters across your infrastructure. Now let's quickly see how you can onboard your assets onto the product and how you can manage your devices and assets onto the product and how you can get more visibility into your devices and you can start managing them on the platform. So before we actually jump on to the asset onboarding, let me quickly show you how you can onboard different devices, different assets based on their type of devices and category of devices and their network interfaces or type of networks that they are in on the product and how you can start managing them. So now let's discuss how you can onboard different type of assets, different category of assets onto the product. So these assets could be categorized into three different categories. The first category of assets are systems or virtual machines or servers that are hosted on cloud and they have a static IP address. Second category of devices could be the systems that are there in your corporate network. And third category of devices could be roaming devices, for example, laptops, which users might be using from different networks and home from their home as well. Talking about the first category of assets, that is public assets, or the assets that are hosted on any of the cloud platforms and have a public static IP address. Now, to onboard these sort of assets, you don't have to deploy any sort of agent on these devices. On the product, just enter the IP address, the public IP address of this server, give us the credentials, and our product would be able to create a secure authenticated connection to the server. It would be able to scan it. It would be able to deploy patches for you, and you can perform all sort of patch management and vulnerability management operations via this. You don't have to deploy any sort of agents for these devices or these assets. If let's say the target system is a Linux-based system, we use SSH to establish the connectivity, a secure connection, and scan that device and deploy the patches. If it is a Windows-based server or Windows-based system, we use WinRM or Windows native Windows Remote Management Protocol to establish a secure connection and perform vulnerability management and patch management operations on these assets. Again, there is no agent that is required to be installed on these devices for patch management or vulnerability management to work. Talking about second category of devices, these are the devices that are there in your corporate networks or VLANs. And if you want to onboard these workstations, these devices, virtual machines, servers in your on-prem networks, right? You want to onboard them and you want to scan them and you want to deploy patches on them. So it's pretty simple. You just have to deploy a small lightweight background service called as jump host on one of the devices in this network. Now, this can be any host, any operating system, be it a Windows workstation, a Linux server, or any other operating system if you want to configure it. Just install this lightweight SecOps jump host agent on the system. And this system will now start discovering all the active devices in this network. Post that, it can automatically scan these devices that are there in this network and upload the results back to the product. And based on your requirements, it can start deploying patches based on the policies that you have configured. It can start scanning these devices, it can start patching these devices, and it can perform all patch management and vulnerability management operations over the network without having the need to install agents on all of these target systems. So in this network, let's say if you have hundreds of systems, you just need a single jump host to manage all of these devices. You don't have to install agents on all of these 100 systems for patch management and vulnerability management to work. Again, for patch management, if you want to deploy patches, if the target systems are Linux-based system, we use SSH protocol. And if target systems are Windows-based systems, we use native Windows remote management or WinRM protocol to establish a secure connection and scan that device and deploy the patches from the jump host. So that's how you can manage all the devices that are there in your corporate networks. Now, talking about devices that may or may not be in your network, right? So, for example, if some of your users are working from home, right, with their laptops, now these devices are not in your corporate network, and if you want to manage these devices, we also have lightweight agents for that. Now, how that works is you can use any of the bulk deployment tools like an Active Directory group policy, an Intune policy, or any other bulk deployment tool to deploy these lightweight agents in bulk across all your systems, all your laptops, endpoints, workstations. And once that is done, these agents would start scanning these devices and can deploy patches and perform audits based on your requirements right from the central console. And these are very lightweight agents. They don't utilize much resources on your systems. So these are optimal in resource utilization as well. So here's a quick summary of all the connectivity methods that we just discussed for your reference. Now let's quickly see how you can onboard these devices, these type of devices onto the product and how you can start managing them. So now let's see how you can onboard your devices and how you can manage them onto the product. So to onboard a device, you just need to click here on add asset. And here is where you can onboard your devices in an agentless or with agents. Okay, so let's first see how you can onboard your devices in an agentless manner. So let's say if you only want to perform vulnerability scan, you can select this option. If you only want to perform patch management and patch deployment related operations, you can use this. Otherwise, if you want to use the full, both the operations, both vulnerability and patch management, you can simply select this, click on continue. And here is where you can specify your device details and you can onboard them over here. So let's say if you want to onboard your devices via IP address, you can simply enter the IP address and you can add your devices. If you want to perform an host level discovery in your network, you can give a CIDR range or IP address range for that matter. Or if you want to give the FQDN or the domain to onboard and scan, you can give that as well over here. Now, here is where you can create your own groups. For example, if you have certain groups in your organizations based on different departments, for example, let's say the finance department has a separate group of devices you want to manage, you can create your own groups, or based on sites. For example, site one should be one group, and all of these devices should be tagged under that group. You can create your own groups accordingly. Or production, network devices, development, staging, all of these groups can be created. Coming to criticality, so this essentially indicates how critical this device is for your organization and for your operations. So let's say if it is a user's endpoint or a workstation that is not that crucial for your overall organization's operations, you can give it a low criticality rating. And let's say if you have a production level server or a very critical asset for you, right? So you can give it a high criticality rating. So this criticality essentially indicates how crucial this device is for your organization. Now, if you're onboarding devices in a private network, you can select the relay server over here. So whatever relay server or jump host that you have created, just select that over here, and via this, it will try to onboard all of these devices and add it for you. Now, if you want to onboard your devices without credentials, you can do that. If you want to add credentials for your devices, you can just click over here, the operating system, and you can enter the credentials and specify the port on which the service is running, and just click on Add Asset to onboard this device. So it's pretty easy. You can do that in bulk using the CIDR discovery, or if you want to enter IP addresses manually or give an IP range for discovery, you can do that right here. So that's how you can onboard your devices in an agentless manner. Besides that, we also have Active Directory integration with us. So if you want to integrate with your local Active Directory that is already configured, simply use this to automatically sync all your devices on the product, and without having to do any sort of discovery or manual asset onboarding or managing process. Now, coming to second point, agent-based assets, right? So you can also deploy these lightweight agents across your systems, and using these agents, you can essentially perform vulnerability scanning, patch scans, patch deployment, vulnerability management, and audit-related activities right from the product. So just simply select the OS, click on continue, and fill in some basic details, and you can export this uh, agent from here, and you'll be able to onboard it right over here. If you want to do this in bulk, you can select bulk operation over here, and you can use the same license key that you'll be generating from here to onboard multiple assets, right? And if you want to use any sort of bulk deployment tool such as Active Directory Group Policy or Intune or any other bulk deployment tool, you can use this bulk mode, and you can simply deploy these agents across your systems in bulk. So that's how you can onboard your devices in an agentless and agent-based manner. And also you can create your own groups and assign those groups to your devices. And using these groups, you can perform scanning related activities, perform patch deployment related activities, perform reporting operations using these groups that you have created. So yeah. Now, for any of these devices that are onboarded over here, if you want to get further more details, you can just simply click over here, and you can get further more details regarding this particular device that I've selected. So overview section will basically give you your overview for that specific device, and system details including the host name, operating system, OS build, CPU, RAM, disk, further details regarding your device, the network interfaces configured, IPs associated with those interfaces, and from here, you can get the overall policy compliance status, your vulnerability analysis, your patch analysis. So vulnerability analysis essentially indicates the total security issues that we have identified on your device, its distribution with respect to its criticality or severity levels. Patch analysis essentially indicates how many critical patches, high dated patches, and other patches are missing on your system that you need to deploy on this particular device, right? So you can get an overview of your device, including your system metadata and vulnerability and patch analysis. Coming to softwares, so this section essentially gives you a software inventory for this particular device for you. So this will give you insights regarding what applications are installed, the corresponding version that is installed, installation date, and vendor related info would be provided. So all of these details would be provided over here. You can also use this search filter. For example, if you quickly want to check if Google Chrome is installed and what version is installed on this particular device, you can get those details as well. Coming to patches. So this section will essentially give you details regarding what patches are still missing on your systems on this particular device and what patches are already deployed, right? If you quickly want to check the patches that are still missing, so you can get the details over here. So this includes both OS as well as third-party application patches, right? So you can get the title, the latest available version, its severity level, how critical this patch is for your device, the type of patch it is, its status, and from how many days it's still missing on your system. Now, when you click on this, you can get further more details regarding this patch. For example, its title, right? What this patch is all about, its KB number, whether this will require reboot or not, the payload size of this patch, the type of patch it is. For example, this is a security update. If you want to get further more information regarding this patch, you can get the description, the vendor support link, and more importantly, the details regarding what sort of security issues would be fixed once you deploy this patch on your system. So let's say if you go ahead and deploy this patch on your system, more than 60 vulnerabilities would be resolved automatically on your system. So these are the list of security vulnerabilities or security issues that would be resolved once you deploy this patch on your system. So you can get these details as well from here. If you quickly want to check what patches are already deployed on this particular device, simply select patched, and you can see these are the patches that are already deployed on this particular device. So you can get all of these insights right over here. And if at all you want to deploy these patches manually from here, for example, I want to deploy this security update as well as VLC Media Player and Firefox on this particular device. So I can select these patches and I can click on patch to start the patch deployment on this particular device. But that's more of an on-demand and manual sort of an approach that you want to that you can use to deploy patches on your systems. We also have an automated approach using patch policies. You can create automated policies that can help automatically scan and deploy patches for you. We'll see that in a while. Coming to vulnerabilities, so these are the vulnerabilities or security issues that you have found on your devices. So you can get those details right over here. For example, if you want to get further more details regarding any specific vulnerability, for example, this one, you can just click on this and you can get further more details regarding its vulnerability ID, its severity rating, CVS score, right? CPR's rating, the affected packages, what application is actually affected by this, evidence that includes the details regarding why it is actually flagged, why this particular vulnerability is actually flagged. So this is flagged because this version of Node.js is installed on this location on this particular device, and it is vulnerable to this particular vulnerability. Now, how do you fix this? So remediation is also provided. So you can update your Node.js version to version 27.7.2 or later to fix this particular security issue. So details regarding the evidence, the remediation, the summary of what the vulnerability exactly is, additional references, exploits, all of these things would be provided to you right over here. Coming to configurations, so these are the misconfigurations that were detected during our scans on this particular device. So you can get those details right over here. If you want to get further more details regarding any specific check, you can just simply click on that and you can get further more details regarding the standard against which this check was performed, the device, yeah, the profile, the summary of what the check exactly is. And if this check is not fixed, what could be its impact on your system? And how do you fix it, right? So how do you remediate this particular misconfiguration on your system? This is also provided over here along with further details. So that's how you can get details regarding all of your devices right on the product. If you want to quickly export this as an asset inventory report, you can select the devices that you want to get a report of, or you can get the entire asset inventory report just by clicking on this button. Now let's quickly see how you can use the patch management product to start deploying your patches in an automated fashion or in a manual way from the product across your devices, how you can get visibility into what sort of patches are missing, how you can get the reports, how you can track the deployments. So let's click on products. You can simply click on patch management. So this is the patch management module that essentially helps you to perform all sort of patching operations, including scanning, patch deployments, creation of patch policies, software deployment policies, tracking of your jobs, maintaining approvals and managing approvals, overall global status of your patches. So you can get all of those insights right from here. So Asset Patch essentially helps you to perform on-demand patching on your devices. You can simply select the devices, you can select the patches, and you can deploy these patches on demand right from here. Let's quickly see how you can create policies that can help you streamline your overall patch deployment process using automated policies so that as soon as a new patch is available for your devices, it is automatically deployed based on the policies that you create. So to create a patch policy, you can just simply click over here and you can give this policy a name. For example, deploy critical patches on endpoints. So you can give this policy a name. If you want to add a description or certain comments to what this policy will do, you can add that over here. And here is where you can target your devices. So let's say if you want to target all your systems, you can simply select target all my devices, or you can add certain rules for device targeting. So that could mean you can use different parameters like IP address, right? So if my IP starts with this, then target the device, or host names, right? Or asset name, or even operating system. So let's say if my system contains Windows 11, the operating system is Windows 11, then automatically patch that, right? Or you can use asset groups as well for this. For example, I want to patch all the devices that are part of endpoint group for now, so I can select that. If you want to exclude any devices from this policy, you can add rules for exclusion as well. Now here is where you can target the patches or packages that you want to deploy with this policy. So the default option is patch all, meaning this will deploy any application patch, any OS patch that is missing on your systems, and that is targeted in this policy. So patch all essentially deploys all missing patches on your devices. Coming to advanced patch policy. So this advanced patch policy helps you give further more conditions and criteria which when met only then these patches would be deployed. So for example, if you only want to patch or deploy critical patches using this patch policy, nothing else, you can select the patch severity levels. If you specifically want to mention some packages for patching, for example, I just want to patch let's say Google Chrome, so I can add that, or any other package or application, you can add that as well. Or if you want to go ahead with update type, for example, just deploy security updates or update rollups or definition updates. So you can use that as well. Or else just deploy OS updates for me, or just third party updates, or both for an example. So you can use patch type as well. Now, based on this condition, the patches are evaluated, and once the condition is met, only those patches would be deployed across your systems. Now, some of these OS patches might prompt you for a reboot for complete patch deployment. So here is where you can do the reboot configuration. So we have a couple of options over here. No reboot essentially means just deploy the patch and do not initiate any sort of reboot operation on the end device. If you want to schedule the reboot for some non-business hours, like weekends or something, you can use schedule reboot for that operation, or else you can use a graceful reboot operation. Now, this allows you to give a customized notification message, for example, this message by IT department. And this custom notification message that you have given over here would be displayed to your end users on the systems that requires reboot after the patch deployment. So this notification would be displayed as a notification to the end user. And let's say the users are working on some important task and they want to they are on some call and they want to delay the reboot operation for 1 hour, for 2 hours, something like that. So they can do that too. And you can control the delay options that is shown with that notification over there. So the default options are this, but let's say if you want to add some option or remove some options for delay, you can do that. You can also set the max allowed deferrals. For example, if you want your users to defer this reboot operation at max 3 times, but after that the reboot should take place, you can also set that configuration right over here. We also have a retry window over here. So this essentially indicates, let's say if some of your employees are on leave for today and tomorrow, and when they come back day after tomorrow, and let's say if you have set the retry window to 4 days, Since those devices are missing certain patches that are targeted by this policy, but those patches weren't deployed because the devices were inactive for certain days, and they are in this window, then the patches will be deployed automatically once they come back online. So retry window can also be set for this policy so that none of the devices miss the patches that you want to deploy on those devices. Now, once the patch and reboot configuration is completed, here is where you can do the approval configuration. So we have two modes over here. The first mode is deploy all non-declined patches. This essentially means that apart from the patches that you have manually declined or rejected, deploy all the other patches. If you want to do that, you can do that. Otherwise, if you want to go ahead with an enterprise level approval option, right? Only the approved patches should be deployed on my systems. You can go with this option also. So depending on your requirements, you can select the option. Lastly, here is where you can set a schedule. For example, if you want to run this policy on a daily basis, on weekly on Tuesdays, or monthly, or annually, or let's say a custom one. For example, I want to run this every week, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I can do that. And now this policy will target my endpoints, critical OS and application patches that are missing, and this will deploy those patches on every week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So accordingly, you can create your own patch policies that can help you automate this entire process of scanning and checking if patches are missing and deploying those patches automatically based on the policies that you have created. Now let's see how you can track these patches onto the product, right? Patch deployments, jobs that you have created on the product. So you can track these jobs right over here in job section. So let's say if I want to track the status in this particular job, so I can select that. And here is where I'll be able to see all my devices that were targeted as part of this job, right? And let's say if you want to see details regarding any specific device, for example, this is a Windows system, and 6 patches were deployed as part of the job. So I can select this and I can get the list of all patches that were targeted. So a couple of application patches were also deployed, and there were a couple of OS patches that were also deployed. So you can see the status right over here. And when you click on this, this gives you real-time visibility into the patch deployment. That is, let's say if it's happening right now. So this will give you real-time updates regarding that deployment right over here. So this typically goes through several phases. The first phase is the initiation phase, wherein we check for all the prerequisites. If all the prerequisites are met for this particular patch, then only we'll go ahead and download the patch payload on your device. Once the patches are downloaded, post that, we'll go ahead and check the integrity check. We'll perform integrity check to ensure that the patches that were downloaded, these are downloaded from the respective vendor repository itself, and then they are not modified or malformed. So patch integrity checks are performed. And if only all the checks are met at this stage, then only the patch deployment starts and the application phase takes care of that. Once the patches are deployed, the product also does a validation. So this will revalidate the entire patch job for you so that you as an IT admin, you can be sure that this patch actually got deployed on my system and my system is stable and healthy after the patch deployment. So patch validation takes care of that. And if at any point let's say the patch deployment fails due to some reason, for example, if it failed at the download phase, so here in remarks, you'll be able to see the remark regarding what has failed and at what stage it has failed, due to what reason it has failed, so that you can troubleshoot and reattempt the deployment. And for the case wherein, let's say, if you have deployed the patch and that is creating certain issues for you on that system, so you can also select the patch and click on rollback to roll back these patches from your systems. So patch rollback is also supported by the product. Now coming to approvals. So approvals is the section where which essentially helps you to check what patches are missing on your systems, what devices are impacted by these patches, whether they will require reboot or not, and further details regarding the patch. And from here, you can perform all the approval related operations. For example, if you want to approve certain patches or if you want to reject certain patches, you can select the patch, click on approve or click on decline to decline or approve that specific patch, and accordingly the policies will automatically deploy those patches or uh, uh, you know remove those patches from the deployment for the deployment. So accordingly, you can test these patches and you can approve or decline the patches. Now, coming to global patches. So this section essentially helps you to analyze what patches are still missing on your systems, what are the ones that are already deployed, so you can track them by the status. So the patches that are already deployed would be tagged as patched. The patches that are still missing on your systems will be tagged as unpatched. So this is a global view for all your devices across your infrastructure and the patches that are missing or have been deployed across them. For any specific patch that you need to get more insights, you can just simply click over here and you'll be able to get the details regarding that specific patch and the vulnerabilities that would be fixed once you deploy this patch on your system. So all of those details are also provided over here. And let's say if you want to narrow down the scope of analysis to, let's say, a certain asset or a couple of assets or an asset group, for an example, so you can narrow down the scope to a specific asset group or a couple of devices or just certain operating systems, right? Or certain applications. For example, I just want to analyze patches for Google Chrome, so I can select that. Here is where you can also target specific vulnerability IDs. For example, if you have got a new vulnerability ID, a zero-day vulnerability ID that you have got, and you want to check if there is a patch available and what devices are affected by that, you can search it via CVEID or patch type, OS and application, or whether they based on severity levels. Just show me critical and high rated patches that are still missing on my systems, right? So you can use all of these filters that are available over here to create your own custom view that you want to analyze and you want to check. And if you want, you can simply click on export to export that custom view that you have created as a report as well to share it with your team. So global patches essentially helps you to perform, to get an overview of all the patches that are missing on your systems or have been deployed and get further more insights regarding these patches and their corresponding status. So that's about patch management. And now we will see how you can perform vulnerability management related operations, be it vulnerability scanning, be it scan policies, be it reporting, report generation, and we'll see a couple of sample scans also, how the report looks like. Now let's see the vulnerability management product and see how you can start scanning your devices for different vulnerabilities, security level, security issues, misconfigurations on your devices, and how you can get the results. So for that, simply click on products, select vulnerability management. So this is the vulnerability management module that helps you to perform your vulnerability assessments, scans, and you can get the results, analyze and prioritize your vulnerabilities right from here. So to start this a vulnerability assessment or a scan on your system, just click on Start Scan. Select the devices that you want to scan. Let's say if you want to target all your devices, you can select that, or you can specify certain group of devices using asset groups, or you can use different parameters to specify the devices that you want to target as part of the scan. If you want to exclude certain critical devices, critical assets, you can exclude that over here. And here is where you can specify the scan configuration. So we have two scan profiles, authenticated scan and unauthenticated scan. So unauthenticated scan essentially means a black box sort of scan that you can use to get details regarding what ports are open on your devices from an external attack point of view, attack surface point of view, what ports are open, what services are open, are running on those open ports, if there are any security issues with respect to those services that are running, right? Any vulnerabilities, misconfigurations present on those services will be able to report that. And if there are any certificate related issue, for example, SSL certificate is expired or is not valid, so and HSTs related issues, header related issues, all of those security issues would be captured as part of the unauthenticated scan. And if you want to scan the top common ports, you can do that. Or if you want to specify some custom ports to be scanned, for example, just port 22, 443, 80, and let's say a range of ports from 100 to 2000. So you can give those ports for scanning as well. Coming to the other scan profile, that is authenticated scan. So authenticated scan would perform a deep and a detailed assessment and scanning of your devices to list out all operating system related vulnerabilities and security issues if there are any security issues with respect to vendor installed applications, you will be able to get those security issues as well. If there are any security issues or vulnerabilities with respect to third party applications that your users are using, for example, if one of the users is using very old version of Adobe Reader on a system that is vulnerable to a lot of security issues and vulnerabilities, will be able to report you that. Apart from that, popular vulnerabilities like Log4j, other misconfigurations, and along with that, the attack surface scanning would also be done as part of the authenticated scan. And to start the scan, you can simply click over here, or else you can create this as a recurring policy as well. For example, a weekly VA scan policy for endpoints. And you can accordingly mark this policy to run, let's say, weekly on Mondays and Tuesdays across your endpoints. Once these scans are performed, here is where you'll be able to see the details of the scans that were performed, right? So these were the devices that were targeted as part of the scan job, right? If you quickly want to export this as a report, you can do that in HTML, CSV, and JSON format. And from here, you can get a quick summary of the security issues or vulnerabilities that were detected as part of the scan. If you want to get a detailed view of what are the issues that we have detected as part of the scanning process on this particular device, you can just click on this record, and you'll be able to get further more details regarding what sort of security issues were identified during the scan process. Now, this includes the ASR rating. So, what is the ASR rating for this particular device, and their distribution with respect to criticality levels? For example, what critical issues have we detected? What are the high rated vulnerabilities detected, medium rated vulnerabilities detected, and so on. Now, from here, you can get the list of all the vulnerabilities that were detected as part of the scanning process. You can get the severity ratings, the standard CVSS ratings for each and every vulnerability, CPR score or context prioritization rating, whether a patch is available or not for these particular vulnerabilities. And for any vulnerability, if you want to get further more information, you can just simply click on this and you'll be able to get further more details regarding this particular vulnerability, including its vulnerability ID, its CWD ID, CPR rating, right, affected packages, its evidence, how do you fix this particular vulnerability, summary of this particular vulnerability, additional references regarding this vulnerability if you want to read more on this. So all of these details are provided over here. And more importantly, you also get a score called as CPR score or context prioritization score. Now, what the CPR score is, CPR rating is primarily gives you the probability of likelihood that this vulnerability would be exploited in your environment within the next 30 days, right? So CPR actually contains these three, ratings. So EPSS, which includes the exploitability factor, CVSS, which includes the standard impact factor that is used across the industry, and CSAC-F, which indicates whether the vulnerability is actually actively exploited across the globe or not. So this is the default CPR recommendation that is provided by the platform. But if you want to, change or fine tune this model based on your organizational requirement, you can do that too on the product. And using this CPR score, you can prioritize your vulnerabilities in an efficient manner. So as you can see, when sorted in a descending order, you can see a couple of high rated vulnerabilities are raised, are kept above critical level security issues, right? So this primarily is because these high rated security issues are have more chances or greater chances of exploitation than these critical level issues. So you can get all of these details right over here, and you can prioritize these vulnerabilities more effectively in your organization using CPR rating. If you want to get further more details regarding what security updates are missing on your systems, right? If any vulnerable Microsoft application was found, vulnerable third-party softwares or applications that we have found, right? So these are the vulnerable apps that were sitting on this particular system. If you want to, check the vulnerability for any specific application, you can simply click on that, and you can get further more details regarding these security issues or vulnerabilities that we have found for this particular application as well. Then log4j level vulnerabilities, attack surface vulnerabilities that we have found. So attack surface essentially gives you the list of all open ports right, on this particular device. So what ports were open, the visibility of that, what services were running on those open ports. So the services are also listed out over here for you. And if let's say there are any security issues that were found on these services that are open, for example, SMB signing is not enforced, or there are certain issues with respect to SSH or SSL certificates or TLS, right? All of those security issues and details would also be provided to you over here. So that's how you can scan your systems and you can get the results regarding what security issues, misconfigurations, attack surface level issues are present on your systems. Now, similar to global patches that we had in patch management, similar to that, we have global vulnerability section here in vulnerability management that gives you a global view for all your security issues and vulnerabilities at a central point so that you can analyze them properly across what devices these security issues are there, right? What is their current status, whether they're still present on your systems, whether they're already patched and mitigated on the devices, right? The details regarding those vulnerabilities, the files affected, remediation strategies, all of these details are also provided over here. And of course, if you want to narrow down the scope of analysis to a specific device or group of devices, or just let's say just show me critical and high rated issues, or give me let's say all vulnerabilities with respect to Adobe Reader, for an example. So you can use applications or packages filter over here for that. So you can use these filters that are available for creating your own custom view for analysis. And if you want to export this as a report, you can do that too, just by simply clicking over here on the export button. So that's how you can perform vulnerability scans and assessments, and you can get the results. You can analyze and prioritize your vulnerabilities onto the product. Now let us quickly see the configuration audit module or product and how you can perform audits based on global benchmarks like CIS, NIST, and other benchmarks on your devices, and even perform custom audits based on your organization's audit standards on your systems, and you can get the results. So to start an audit on your systems, you simply need to click on Start Audit. Here as well, you can perform device targeting. You can exclude certain devices if you want to. And from here, you can select the profiles that you want to select. For example, if you want to perform, you know, scans on your Windows 11 system based on BitLocker checks, CIS level 1 for Windows servers, 2008 R2, you can select the audit profiles and accordingly you can perform these audits against globally known benchmarks by selecting the profiles right over here. Now, for your devices, which are not actively connected to the product, you can use the config file option that is available over here. So, let's say for your network devices like routers, firewalls, switches, and other devices, you can simply upload the configuration file over here, and you can simply select that file. For example, for Cisco devices, you want to perform audit, you can simply select the profile, upload the configuration file, and you can start the audit and you can get the results. Now, for any specific audit that was performed, here is where you can get the results. So there was a CIS audit performed on this particular device. Two profiles were included. These are the two profiles, right? So a quick summary of the total checks that were performed. Out of that, the total checks that passed, the ones that failed. And if you want to get details regarding what checks were exactly performed and what checks or what misconfigurations have been detected, you can simply come over here and you can select any one of these checks and you can get the summary of what this check exactly is. If it is not fixed on your system, what would be its impact? More importantly, how do you fix this particular misconfiguration on your system? So you get details regarding the remediation for these misconfigurations that you have got on your systems, and evidence as well. So why this particular check is flagged as as a misconfiguration on your device. So those details are also provided over here. Also, you can create your own audit policies for automated audits, right? You can do that too. And if you want to create your own audit profiles, custom profiles, or if you want to change certain values in standards, for example, you want to in this particular a CIS audit profile level 1 for macOS 15, you want to change the minimum password length to something greater than this, or account lockout threshold, you want to change it. You can do that too. Or else, if you want to create your own custom profile, right, based on new checks, new standards, you can do that too. So that is also allowed. And you can assess your devices based on your custom profiles or custom checks that you have created, or you can assess it based on global standard benchmarks. So that's how you can perform audits on your systems, and you can get what misconfigurations are there on your systems, including servers, workstations, uh, laptops, desktops, network devices like routers, firewalls, switches, and all of these devices. Now, having said that, for all of these products that we have discussed, be it vulnerability management, patch management, configuration audit, we have a dedicated reporting module as well. So from here, you can essentially create or generate custom reports for all of your devices. You can select the devices, you can select the report configuration. If you want a summary report, if you want a detailed asset report, if you want to get a service level report or a open ports report, you can get that. Or if you want to create your own custom reports, right? So here is where you can do that. If you want to get a CSV report, HTML report, you can select the report format. Let's say if you only want the missing patches, that are the patches that are still missing on your systems and are rated as critical and high. So critical and high patches that are still missing on your systems, you want to get a report for that, you can do that. Or if you want to get reports on new patches that are still missing from last week, you can create a report for that as well. And if you want to create a reporting policy for your organization, for example, a weekly patch report for production systems. So you can create a recurring policy for this also. So let's say I want to get a report on every Monday regarding my production systems and their patch status. So I can create a recurring policy for this. And if you want to get these reports that are generated every week over the email, you can just type in the email IDs, and these results would be shared to the respective users over the email as well. So that's how you can create your reporting policies as well on the product. So that was all about the product, how you can onboard your devices and how you can manage your devices on the platform, how you can perform vulnerability scans, you can get security issues, vulnerabilities, misconfigurations on your systems, how you can get perform configuration audits based on global benchmarks or your custom audits, audit profiles, and how you can fix all of these security issues and misconfigurations using our patch management solution to fix these security issues across all your systems.